Welcome. This is Main Idea, Lesson 1. Please make sure that you have the correct handout for this new topic that you have just started. Please remember that you should only be starting this topic if you have passed a quiz or completed Lesson 3 for another topic. This handout says Main Idea number 1 at the top. Please start by writing your name in the upper left-hand corner. Let's learn a little bit more about main idea and details. The main idea tells what is most important in a passage. Sound familiar? Details are facts and examples that give you more information about the main idea. You can use these tips to find the main idea and details. The main idea may be given in the first or last sentence of a paragraph. Remember, though, the main idea is not always stated in the first or last sentence, but sometimes it is. Details often answer who, what, where, when, and why questions about the main idea. The title of a passage often gives a clue about the passage's main idea. Make sure you have these notes, and we'll move on to the Think About It section. Our directions here say, read the paragraph below, find the main idea and details. We remember that the main idea is the most important part, and the details are the facts or the examples that support the main idea. I'm going to just note my directions. I'm going to read the paragraph. It's below. I will find the main idea and the details. Let's read the passage. More than 1,000 years ago, the ancestral Puebloan people lived in the Southwest. They grew corn, beans, and squash. They made baskets and pottery. They built their dwellings into the sides of a large cliffs. The question asked us to think about the main idea and the details. Question 1 asks, what is the main idea? So this is asking us what was the most important point. And I think about who this passage was about because I love the 2 W's strategy. And the 2 W's stands for who and what. So who was the passage about and what were they doing? So I think about this passage is about the ancestral Puebloan people. And it's telling us that they lived in the Southwest. It's giving us information about these 2 people, or this group of people. But I need to think about specifically, is this the main idea? Is it stated directly in this passage? In this case, I do not think that the main idea is stated directly. More than 1,000 years ago, the ancestral Puebloan people lived in the Southwest. That's certainly important in this passage because the rest of the passage has to do with them living in the Southwest. But just saying that they lived there is a little bit different. I'm going to connect these 2 ideas and share that being residents of the Southwest really influenced their lives. So I might say, for what is the main idea, is living in the Southwest influenced the lives of the Puebloan people. Okay, it's pretty sloppy, but you can see it there. Sorry, my pen went out. And the next question asks us, what is one detail that supports the main idea? I saw a few details. Living in the Southwest influenced their lives in that they were able to grow corn, beans, and squash. There's a supporting detail. They made baskets and pottery. That's a supporting detail. And they built their dwellings in the sides of large cliffs. Take any of those 3 details and write it on the second line right here. Now, we're asked to give a title to the paragraph that states the main idea. Oftentimes, when we're working on tests like these, we have questions that ask us about titles. This is really a question about main idea. So it's asking us to give a title that states the main idea. So I might think of this is definitely about the ancestral Puebloan people. They live in the Southwest. So I might say that this could be called living in the Southwest. This last part is asking us to annotate, to circle the main idea, and underline the details that support the main idea. We've certainly annotated this passage quite a bit already, but if anything, where it says the ancestral Puebloan people lived in the Southwest, this is pretty close to the main idea, so I'm going to box that in or circle it. And then these different details that we checked before would be our supporting details. Make sure that you have this fully annotated in order to show me that you are ready to move on. Now, let's review an interesting strategy. The strategy is called scan and skim. You can scan and skim a paragraph or a passage to find information. To scan the passage, look at the title, picture, and first paragraph to get the big idea. To skim the passage, look at it as a whole. What sentence or key words help you understand the passage? Lastly, skim each paragraph to find important details. With all of this information that I've just learned about scan and skim, I think this will be a helpful strategy for main idea and detail. Let's move on. Our directions here say, read the passage, use the notes on the side to help you, then answer the questions on the next page. Here we go. First, it says to scan the passage. Notice the title and the picture. The title is Vanished into Thin Air. Interesting that they include that question mark there. So I bet this is going to be about whether or not someone actually vanished. Our image here, though it's difficult to see, looks like there are some rocks around and maybe some people that were there. So I think that this could be about some ancient people. Now let's start reading. More than 1,000 years ago, the ancestral Puebloan people lived in the Southwest. They grew corn, beans, and squash. They made baskets and pottery. They built their dwellings into the sides of large cliffs. The Puebloan people seemed to live well for a while. Then they suddenly left their homes. Why did they leave? Where did they go? No one knows for sure. Scientists who study the past have some ideas. Some think the Puebloan people left because they were having problems with other groups. Other scientists think they moved away because there were too many people. Still, others think that dry weather might have caused them to move. They know that there were years in this area with no rainfall. Crops cannot grow when it is so dry. People might have left so that they would not starve. Today, people can visit the dwellings of the ancestral Puebloan people, but no one will know for sure why they seemed to vanish into thin. Let's work on this example question together. Here it says, choose the correct answer. Use the steps at the right to help you answer the question. I'm going to follow the step-by-step directions to help me answer this question. Step 1. Read the paragraph. Find what the paragraph is about. So, I've reread the paragraph and see that it is about the ancestral Puebloan people leaving their homes suddenly. Our second step is to look for details that give you more information. I see that they were living well and then they suddenly left their homes. No one knows for sure why they left. The third piece of information, state what the paragraph is mainly about in your own words. So I could rephrase this and say, no one knows exactly why the ancestral Puebloan people left their homes suddenly. Now that I've done these 3 steps, I can return to this question. Here it says, what is the most important idea in the second paragraph? A. The Puebloan people were mysterious. B. No one knows why the Puebloan people left. C. The Puebloan people seem to be living well. D. The Puebloan people left their homes suddenly. So, I might easily be tricked into thinking that the answer is B or D, that no one knows why the Puebloan people left, or that they left suddenly. But remember that here they're asking us not the most important idea for the whole passage, but for the second paragraph. Let's go back and reread that second paragraph. Here it says, the Puebloan people seemed to live well for a while. Then they suddenly left their homes. Why did they leave? Where did they go? No one knows for sure. This is pretty tricky. All of these are different details from this paragraph. So they seemed to live well for a while. They suddenly left their homes. No one knows for sure where they went or why they went. Let me look at the options again and see if I can eliminate any of the choices. Here I see, the Pueblan people were mysterious. That could be it. No one knows why the Pueblan people left. I think that's a little bit more like a supporting detail. The Pueblan people seem to be living well was the first sentence, but the rest of the passage doesn't talk about how they were living well. So I'm going to eliminate this option. Lastly, the Pueblan people left their homes suddenly. That could be it too. These two are so similar that I worry that they're in conflict with each other. No one knows why the Pueblan people left and that they left suddenly. Again, they don't really tell me what was happening. Going back to A, the Pueblan people were mysterious. There were certainly a lot of mysterious details that were covered in this passage. Based on the supporting details in the second paragraph, I believe that A is the most important idea. The Pueblan people were mysterious. Now it's time to look at these following questions. Read each question, circle the letter of the best answer. Go ahead and complete these questions on your own now. If you've answered the questions, let's review them. Remember that it doesn't do you any good to review the questions if you haven't tried to answer them yourself. This is all about learning on your own. Let's look at question number 1. Which detail supports the idea that the Pueblan people were living well? I determined that they grew beans, corn, and squash is supporting the idea that they lived well. I eliminated immediately that they suddenly left their homes because this has nothing to do with living well. I was tempted to answer that they lived in the Southwest because that was where they lived. But it doesn't tell me that they were living there well. The fact that they lived more than 1,000 years ago really doesn't have very much to do with how they were living, just when they were living. Based on these answers, I chose option C. Number 2, what is the main idea of the third paragraph? I reread that paragraph and then decided on my choices. Here I see some scientists study the past. That's too general to be the main idea. There were too many Pueblan people was a theory, but it's not what the whole paragraph was about. The Pueblan people starved because of dry conditions was also too specific. It's a supporting detail. But this last one, scientists have different ideas about why the Pueblan people left, seems just right. That's the main idea of that paragraph. Number 3, which title would tell the main idea of the third paragraph? This is the same paragraph referenced in the previous question. I immediately eliminated scientists solve the mystery because that's not true. They didn't solve the mystery. Scientists explore the mystery was a really good sounding one, but I wanted to check my other answers first. So I checked C. No one knows what happened. That's definitely true, so it's piqued my interest. Number D, the Pueblans left for many reasons. That's again not exactly accurate. We don't know why they left. People just have different ideas. So between B and C, B is a little bit more specific to the third paragraph because it was about scientists. No one knows what happened doesn't give me enough information about what this paragraph specifically is about. Lastly, number 4, this passage is mostly about. When something asks me what something is mostly about, they're asking me about the main idea. I have here, the first option is why the Pueblan people vanished. That sounded pretty good, but I needed to check the other answers. Where the Pueblan people used to live, that sounded really good, but the rest of the paragraphs didn't explain what the Southwest was like. They explained the Pueblan people, so the emphasis needed to be on them. Option C, how scientists have different ideas about things. This definitely included information about scientists, but wasn't all about scientists. And D, how the Pueblan people lived in the Southwest. This is more about their vanishing than it is about how they lived. Based on these assumptions and the process of elimination, I was able to choose A. You've now completed lesson 1 of main idea. Please return to your tracker and check off that you have completed this assignment. Remember that you can only get credit if you have all of the answers and each of the questions completed, including the ones that I did not complete here today. If you've completed this assignment, you are now ready to move on to main idea number 2.